Welcome to Tech Circuit. I'm Ben Tibbles, and with me, as always, is the infrangible David Lee. Our theme song is by the fantastic Troy Goss, aka DJX Sub N. I'm never going to say it right. I know there's a cadence to that, and I'm getting it wrong every time, and I see him every once in a while. I mean to ask him, but I never.
One day.
It's a programming thing, X Sub N, and it means, I think, infinite possibilities, which is a really cool, that's a cool thing to me, but I'm never going to say it right. And now I have to say it differently every time we do the podcast.
That's a challenge.
So that it's a choice, and I'm not wrong. I'm just being a creative. What up, everybody? Welcome to Tech Circuit. This week, I am very excited. We've got a bunch of cool stuff to talk about. We are going to start with the recently launched NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5060 Ti. That came out just yesterday. Just yesterday as of this recording. Then we're going to go into our product spotlight. We have some great products that are available on Newegg.com to tell you about. Then we're going to discuss the success of the Substance Slanging Simulator Schedule 1. That was a lot of alliteration right there. I actually think that's assonance, which is a different type of alliteration. Nerd. And then we're going to talk about the upcoming updates, or are they active now? Are they already live for ChatGPT? We're going to be talking about ChatGPT 4o.
Yeah, 4o is going to be a big change for everybody. I'm really excited. When I saw some of those updates, I was like, man, they're finally getting rid of a lot of different issues that they had, and then they just ended up posting a lot more. But we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then we're going to wrap up the episode with the user circuit. That's Y-O user circuit. We got a lot of responses from you guys on social media. We got a couple emails. And I'm excited to get into that. But let's get started with the GeForce RTX 5060 Ti.
Yeah, I'm so stoked about this one. This 5060 Ti has more VRAM than my current graphics cards, the 3070 Ti version. And when I saw that, I was like, this is amazing. It's like right on the cusp. It's like the prices look good, the product looks good, the updates look good, but it's not perfect. But they did make a lot of great changes here that I absolutely love.
Sorry, I was just putting that on loop. Little behind the scenes magic for everybody. So let's compare, because we were talking about the 4060 Ti versus the 5060 Ti, right? 1.4a DisplayPort versus 2.1b, which is a big thing. 353 AI tops versus 759 AI tops. So little quick math, more than double. And then GDDR6 16 gigs versus GDDR7 16 gigs, 55% more bandwidth.
Yeah.
Which of those do you think is the most important jump?
I think the biggest jump is going to...
Yep. Nope. Guys, that's all Nico's fault. Blame Nico.
Poor Nico. The biggest jump is definitely the AI tops. That is crazy to me. It's gonna bump up a lot of the performance on AI processes, and that's gonna be really, really nice because everyone is using a lot more AI now, and whatever you do on AI is gonna be supported by that. And I think that's really, really critical and key, and great that they leaned in on that strength that they have right there by just straight up doubling that.
I know it's been said, and I'm not going to get too off topic on this, but AI is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I've been diving deeper and deeper into it. Sorry, one of my favorite podcasts goes deeper and deeper, and it's from Office Space when he's getting hypnotized. But I've been getting diving deeper into AI and NVIDIA's AI programs. We've got a whole series of NVIDIA videos coming out soon. That was difficult to say. That are going to go into the different features of NVIDIA AI, including NIM microservices, AI blueprints, a whole deep dive stuff.
Nice.
So my brain is expanding and it hurts. But it's cool to see components that give you the abilities that this AI that AI gives you. It's,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to make too bold of a statement, but it does seem like maybe the biggest jump in our interactive technologies since the internet.
Yeah.
Like you can create a person who will talk to you and like give you advice or help you make corrections and things. You can just make them out of whole cloth.
Yeah, I remember when the touchscreen was like became widespread everywhere, and I thought that was the coolest thing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you can interact with your fingertips!" And now AI is just killing it across the board. It is definitely the key word here, and I love what they're doing. There are a lot of issues and concerns. Everybody always talks about like AI is going to take over in like a few hundred years, and we're all going to be enslaved to the machine, things like that. I think, that's a problem for future generations, not us.
Okay, let's move on to performance at max settings.
Mhm.
You made some great notes here. 10 to 15% stronger than the 3070 Ti.
Oh, my heart. My heart.
130 FPS Black Myth Wukong max settings at 1080p.
Mhm.
We just recently released a video. Go check it out if you haven't yet, where we compared a 3080 versus a 4080 versus a 5080, and the 3080 Black Myth Wukong was unplayable. The 4080 was like not doing great.
Ooh,
Even the 5080 didn't perform that much better, but Black Myth Wukong isn't optimized for multi-frame generation yet, so it didn't get to leverage the full power of DLSS 4.
yeah.
But that's just to say, if this is getting 130 FPS at max settings in 1080p, it's putting out numbers.
Yeah. Yeah,
148 in cyberpunks. I sound like an old person. I went down to the Walmart.
you're right there, old man.
don't don't patronize me. Um
Now, these are cherry pick numbers from NVIDIA's front page that I got. But even if you take about 10 to 15% off those numbers are still pretty good. And I would love to see the long-term reviews of this graphics card because you can cherry pick whatever data that you want, but only time will truly tell how well it's going to do across the board. And it was just released yesterday. And I've heard rumors that a lot of other reviewers are having a crappy time right now trying to review the product because they like communication errors and like embargoes with Nvidia. They're driving them crazy.
oh, well that's I'm glad we avoided that.
Yeah.
Um okay. So real quick, let's dive into DLSS cuz I brought it up. This test that we ran with the 304050 was with DLSS active because it was our assumption that most people out there aren't going in and turning off DLSS. You know, maybe they're not tweaking it, adjusting it to the max of its abilities, but it's also my assumption that if you're getting one of these high power NVIDIA GPUs, unless you are a super in-depth gamer, you're probably playing with DLSS. So we wanted to run a test that would be more similar to what you would be experiencing at home. But there are pros and there are cons. Let's talk about it for a little.
Yeah, I love what they've done with DLSS. It's great for adding a lot of smoothness to the game. The numbers are fantastic. Like, they'll it's almost sticker shock about how much performance gain you get. And I love my smoothest in video games. Any console that I play, I have to have it on performance because if it's not above 60, it's a pain. And Nintendo, please, I can't wait for the Switch. But anyway, the cons are it's not implemented the best. Like I've seen
Mhm.
some of the footage, especially for the Half-Life 2 that we covered last week, and the helicopter blades were whirling around, and some of the blades didn't look all there or like wild. Like it was like half broken, chopped up. You're gonna get a lot of issues like that in image quality, but you notice that's the key part.
Yeah, like I guess that's my thing. It's the same thing. I'm sure there are people who do notice. Obviously, there are people who notice because we're talking about it. I don't know that I would notice, you know. That said, I don't know how much I would notice the extra frames at all. I don't know how well my eye would react or would be able to perceive the extra smoothness. So, I guess at a certain point, I think DLSS is cool. I think it'll probably get to a point where it is a real boon, and it really is making highly accurate frames between the frames it's actually producing. Is it there yet? I don't know, but it's not going to get there if we're not like working toward it. And
Yeah.
is it a worthwhile technology at all? It's probably, I guess it's all down to the end user.
Yeah, the my 2 cents here are it, you have to be invested in the game, because if you're invested in the gameplay and the story, you're not going to know. Like, all that stuff is just gonna go to the wayside, and you're gonna be so invested, like, the small details that you might notice if you're not as interested, they're all gonna go away.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I just hope developers really, step it up and do their homework instead of getting lazy, because if they don't optimize their game, their base game, and they rely on DLSS to do the work for them, you're gonna get, like, that loss of image quality just magnified. And
Yeah.
so you really have to dial in those settings on the developer side to make sure the games really run it well. And the other issue with DLSS is that it's not implemented across all the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at the list on DLSS 4, and there's only 106 games. Now, granted, those games are super popular. They're games that are current, modern, that people want to play them, and a majority of the player base is going to get them and like love it, but it's not across all games. And so you really have to take those factors into consideration before really considering DLSS. But man, it's so smooth. It's so smooth. It's gorgeous.
I mean, and it's impressive. All right, let's move on. We got to get to our product spotlight for the week. Our first product in this week's product spotlight is the Samsung 990 Pro Gen 4 2TB SSD.
Ooh, yeah.
There's a reason Samsung is the number one name when it comes to SSDs. I mean, there's other great brands out there, obviously, but the 990 Pro is kind of the brass star.
Standard.
Yeah, we said different metals, but this is delivering pretty much the max performance you can get out of Gen 4. Gen 5 is still, they exist out there, but Gen 5 SSDs are really power hungry. Very rarely are you ever getting the full power out of a Gen 5 SSD unless you have a massive heatsink on it or something like that.
Yeah.
And most importantly, you need Gen 5 if you want to put an SSD in your PlayStation 5. So this is a great option. It does come in heatsink or not heatsink, or without heatsink versions. Yeah, great little product. 7450 and 6900 megabytes per second read-write speeds, respectively. And 50% improved performance per watt from the 980 Pro.
Yeah, these are some great numbers that they put out there. Typically, once a SSD reaches about 7,000 read and write speeds, I don't notice, like, it's blazing fast. So anything that gets even close to 7,000 read write speeds, I'm so happy and content. Samsung SSDs are known for not having any issues, but more importantly, if you don't have one yet, they have this Magician software that they utilize, and it is amazing. I would recommend highly to take a look at that and see what it offers, because it is the things you could do with your SSD will really give you that, oh, I'm not going to lose my data kind of feeling,
Yeah, although Magician software makes it sound like your files are going to disappear, which is not the case. It's a great SSD. Go check that out at Newegg.com. Moving on, we have the Corsair Vengeance RGB 32 gig DDR5. I love Corsair RAM specifically. This set, first of all, it belongs to the iQ family of products, so you can connect it with Corsair iQ software to all your other components, especially Corsair iQ components. not just to manage the RGB, because these do have 10 LED RGBs per blade or per stick. I always called them blades, but then I looked it up and no one else did, and I don't know where I got that. But I think it's cooler than sticks.
How long have you been calling them blades?
Like years.
Oh.
Like years. I don't know where I got it.
And nobody's caught it?
No, everyone's just like,
Okay.
You know why? Because I think they're all like, that's a lot cooler than the sticks.
I gotta hand it to you. It does have a little, it does sound great.
Yeah. I got 4 blades of RAM. Hell yeah. I don't even care. They're blades from now on. That's what I'm calling them. But you have 10 RGB per stick. And those are all customizable. IQ has a bunch of preset lighting modes in there. But it's also, a great, reliable DDR5 RAM set.
Yeah, when I typically go buy RAM, I like to get Corsair. They're like my go-to brand for Corsair. I look at the other brands and I'm like, that one doesn't sound good. That one doesn't have enough security for it. I really liked their customer service, and I believe these sticks have a lifetime warranty if I remember correctly. And so I really like Corsair RAM. And like you said, the Corsair IQ, phenomenal. There is a lot of people that like to utilize RGB and unify it, and Corsair IQ is perfect for it. So chef's kiss. And
Vengeance is a cool name. It sounds like it could be the next Batman movie. Batman Vengeance. I got you. Oh, where's Harvey dead? Swear to me. Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have, this is what I found out, the best selling monitor on Newegg.com. And remember, all these products are available at Newegg.com. Go check them out. We have inventory. We have the best products around. Tin, cut this out. This is rambling garbage. Golly. Okay. The Asus TUF 27-inch, 170 hertz WQHD gaming monitor, best-selling monitor on Newegg.com for a reason. Nice size, 27-inch monitor, obviously great. It has a 144 hertz refresh rate naturally, but it overclocks to 170 hertz with low motion blur. FreeSync compatible, and HDR enabled on this.
Yeah, this monitor I think is great because it has 1 millisecond response time, which is great. Most people just look at the refresh rate and it's like, oh yeah, that's great enough. But you have to worry about other considerations too. And so the 1 millisecond response time is gonna be phenomenal for you. And HDR content, man, I still remember the first time I saw HDR content 10 on my monitor. Oh. It was glorious.
I gotta say, I noticed the difference between HDR and not HDR more than I noticed the difference between high def and 4K.
Yeah.
So I love HDR. I love my big beautiful HDR television. And to have it on the game, I at this point, it's one of those features like I have to have it in a monitor. It's not an optional feature. Like if it doesn't have HDR, and not everything is has HDR built into it, I get that. But I need it.
Yeah,
I have to have it.
Daddy needs it.
Daddy needs the HDR.
You made that joke yesterday, and I was like, "Oh man!"
It was a week ago now.
Yeah.
Not yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
Just seems like because time flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't it just? All right. Moving on. We have our perhaps spiciest topic of the day: the phenomenal success. I would call it phenomenal success of Schedule 1. Schedule 1 is a substance selling simulator. And it's not the first, but it's perhaps the most successful.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. This made waves. Like all my friends are playing it. I was checking out my Steam's friends list and it's just like schedule one, schedule one, schedule one, schedule one. I was like, okay, what is this game about? And wow, it blew my mind. It is the dumbest.
I can't stop laughing when I see the people. They look so dumb.
I know.
I love it.
It was basically made mostly by one person too. I think his name is Tyler, and he has only two other people that he's worked with closely. One is the composer, because that makes sense. You probably don't write music. The other one was a graffiti artist. I was like, "Yep, that's great."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. I've heard a lot about this game. We had a 450,000 peak player count. That's huge. And it was the top selling paid stream game for 2 weeks after its launch, which is fantastic. I've heard there's things, there's addiction meters, there's, you can have a warrant put out for your arrest. You can there's mini games when the cops are patting you down and things like that. It's fascinating. And again, I think the style of it's not too real, right? It's not too graphic or anything. I think that adds a lot to it as well, just as playability and accessibility. Because there's a little bit of a stigma with the subject matter.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of people are saying, it's Breaking Bad, the video game, which is great. Breaking Bad was a huge success. But there was, even that had faced some backlash because people were saying it was, glamorizing the world of dealing drugs and, selling substances. So this game obviously engages with that. It engages with it head on and gamifies it. Is that problematic?
Ooh, I think that's a topic that's been around for a while. When games started becoming more mainstream and popular, all the parents were like, "This game's gonna make my child violent," blah blah blah. Yeah. And so now that we're kind of pushing the limits and boundaries of that and exploring new topics, and so that's a great question about Schedule One. Is it really going to push people past to go into this world and romanticize it?
No, and you bring up a good point comparing it to violence, which is kind of a natural comparison. We don't condone violence, but video games are full of violence, and I don't subscribe to the idea that violent video games make violent people. I can't talk right now. What is that? Violent video. I don't believe that violent video games make violent people. So it follows, I don't think a substance selling game is going to turn anyone into a drug dealer. Although I do understand the kind of visceral instinct to say,
this is too far.
That's bad. But yes, this is all to say, for example, I love the video game series Bloody Roar. I don't condone anyone turning into a weremole and ripping out someone else's viscera.
Yeah.
But yeah, morality in video games have always kind of had a clash, but I think morality kind of finds reasons to clash with things a lot. But this game wasn't without legal troubles. You were telling me about this. Do you want to explain that for our listeners?
So there's this other game that came before, Drug Dealer Simulator, and this was actually found. People had to. This wasn't reported. It was more found on some website where a drug dealer simulator had to file publicly like they were looking into IP theft or any brand damages or things along those lines. I think it was called the Stock Market Communication System. That was the site. And so this was reported and gamers went ballistic, right? They were furious that there was a possibility that they would lose the ability to play Schedule One, much like what Power World is kind of going through with Nintendo right now.
I was thinking it reminded me of Power World.
Yeah, and so gamers went on the Drug Dealer Simulator and they just reviewed the entire page and bombed it to the ground, and so much so that Drug Dealer Simulator had to come out with a statement and saying, regarding Schedule One, there is no lawsuit. And I thought that was hilarious. But a good topic that a good word that gamers brought up was yet. There's
Yeah.
no lawsuit yet. And
Yeah.
and so we really I want to keep an eye on Schedule One and kind of keep up with that and see where that takes off in about a couple of weeks, if not a month.
Sure. Sure. Well, let us know your thoughts on Schedule One. Have you played it? What are you, did you enjoy it? I've only played a little bit of it, but I love the style. It feels like a game that I'm going to enjoy playing. So I'm excited to dive deeper into that. Let's move on. Moving on to our final topic for today, ChatGPT and AI. ChatGPT is being upgraded to ChatGPT. Are they calling it 4o?
Yeah, they're actually calling it 4.0. There's so many names that they're coming out with between O3 and O4 Mini. Like I don't even know, man.
Uh, handles text and image and text, images, and audio natively. Can you tell me what that means? Like, what does it mean to handle those natively as an AI or as a chat? Yeah,
And
chatbot.
so I think a lot of times you would have to utilize another AI to get some of the other workload done to kind of have your whole AI pipeline through. But now you're able to like paste pictures or like get pictures and audio from ChatGPT, which I was astounded by. It
Oh, so instead of having to go to a different AI for image generation, a different AI for for voice or something like that, you can do this all in ChatGPT.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And they added a section on there. If you'll notice, next time you go to ChatGPT, check it out. They have a section for pictures, which I thought was a nice addition. But the biggest upgrade for me was the memory upgrade. So now ChatGPT is going to reference and remember every single conversation you've ever had on your account.
Oh no. I'm
Yeah.
joking. No, I'm joking.
So that's great to have that integration there for throughout all your different chats. But of course I really like what they did here and how they handled it. If you want something that's separate from your main like conversations, you can create like a separate bubble where the AI is not linked to all your previous conversations.
That's I gotta I have to admit, uh, I don't mess with Chat GPT specifically a lot,
Mhm.
so I kind of thought it already did some of this stuff. Um, which but is great. It's great to hear that you can do so much natively all in one AI spot. You don't have to treat Chat GPT just as a chat bot or something like that. You
Mhm.
can kind of it's a one stop AI shop. Um, there were concerns I remember recently brought up about ChatGPT and how it was being powered.
Yeah, on how they got their received their all their data. And so that they knew that privacy concerns and
Hmm.
like IP theft were a big concern for this new release. And so they actually released a system report card about how they handled a lot of their how they handled concerns that the community had. One of those being like not safe for work topics and images that they brought up and how they're filtering those out and which I thought something that I thought was really cool was there's a way to identify which images are directly from ChatGPT. And so they, I believe it's C2PA metadata that they added in there.
Oh, cool.
Um, and so I thought that was really good that they're taking a lot of steps to address a lot of the concerns that the community had, especially regarding that IP stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a good way to handle it, and we're gonna we're gonna have to,
Mhm.
right? We're at with new technology comes new concerns all the time, and you always have to find ways to address them. Now we have to find ways to address not only like IP, but how do you identify an AI image, right?
Yeah.
You need to have some sort of labeling so that people can look at it and at the base level, is this real? Source code, no.
Yeah, the images that ChatGPT had were so realistic. I had to do a double take and be like, "Is that real?" And then they were like, "No, this is generated." I was like, "Unbelievable! It's crazy." And I've always read a lot of prompts about how to utilize image generation, and they gave all every single one of those prompts out for those images, and it was crazy, and they had a lot of image updates as well regarding that. There is a multi-object focus. So somebody might want like a bus in like a meadow driving across a highway, and that
Like
might
I
be
do. I want that.
yeah, which is great. But then if they want like a logo on the bus, or the bus to like say some words, they couldn't get that there. And now they're able to reference about 10 to 20 objects in one image, and kind of keep that in storage so that you can reference all of those parts and edit whatever parts of the image
Of
that you
like
want.
this with a this and then this with this,
Yeah,
and you can do that up to like 10 times. That
yeah. The biggest one for me, the absolute biggest focus was character consistency. So on image generators, they would you would get like, let's say Vegeta, and you would get Vegeta in want 4 pictures of Vegeta, and then
Mhm.
you would have to type another prompt, and they would give you 4 other images of Vegeta. Now, if you had 8 of those images, it would look like they came from a different artist every time. Different style, slightly different shapes here and there. It wouldn't be consistent.
Mhm.
But now with ChatGPT for Omni, um, you're able to have that character consistency throughout the prompts. So you get an image. They had an image of a cat in one format, and they took that exact image of the cat and put it in another format in another context, and it was just straight up consistency. And I love that. That
Oh,
was phenomenal to me.
that's cool. That's very cool. All right. Well, let us know. Do you experiment? Do you play around with ChatGPT? Both of that sounded weird. Do you use ChatGPT? Do you engage with ChatGPT? Um, I haven't a lot. I don't do a ton of work with AI yet, but AI is a tool. We're all going to be using it soon.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just it continues to astound me what it's capable of doing.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final segment. This is the YO user
User.
circuit. This is all about you and your engagement with us. We got a lot of great engagement on our social media posts. Specifically, we had a few people get rid of there. Saint Rose over on YouTube said, excited to try out new Switch games, especially a Mario Kart. Another game I'd like to see refreshed is Prince of Persia. It helped me to get into God of War and other similar games. That's a great pull. I wouldn't have thought of remastering Prince of Persia, but I remember I didn't play that version of that game, but people
Mm,
loved it. Like
yeah.
it went off. Um, Doug Palmer 9014 said, I'd love to see a remaster of the Summoner game from THQ in like 2000, 2001. However, I'm likely the only person in the universe who would buy it. False, Doug, because I would buy it. Because Summoner, do you even know what we're talking about when we say Summoner? It was a great game. It was, I'm having a hard time pulling a game that's similar to it, but it was like 3D adventure. You learn to summon creatures to fight beside you, and then it was cool. It was part combat, part magic. Very fun game. I would also love to see a remaster of that. Daddy Noodles says, it's Ben, it's nudes. What's up, Daddy? Don't like that. What up, Daddy Noodles? We got in the chat, we had Daddy Noodles, we had Aiden Tech Life, who says, Ben, where have you been? I've been here all along, Aiden. I always have been. And the Elden Post says, get me on the podcast immediately. Well, you kind of are now, Elden Post. All three of those people, I know for a fact, are content creators. Go check them out. Over on, at least they make content on TikTok. I think some of them have YouTube channels as well. BSAAM,
Masochistic lion.
PSA Masochistic Lion says, I'm with David as well on this as well for the Nintendo Switch. Super excited.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, masochistic lion. You have a special place in my heart.
We have some interesting named followers. We got Daddy Noodles and BSA Masochistic Lion. Andrew Rodriguez 7956 says, David is the GOAT. Need to see more of him. Great observation. That was him saying that, but it was also a great observation. And you will see more of him if you like and subscribe to the podcast and to Newegg Studios over on YouTube. Have you taken a look at our 2 builds of the week?
2 builds of the week.
Yeah. Nobody posted any photos on our TikTok or Blue Sky, but please do go over to TikTok, Twitter, now X and Blue Sky. Follow Tech Circuit Podcast and show us your PC, show us your gaming rigs. We got a few email submissions, and I'm going to show you those right now.
Whoa.
These were the 2 that we chose. The all white build I love, and it's got that figure. I had one of those, the like draw on figures at one point, and then I left a drawing on there too long and it stayed stained, so I couldn't do it anymore. But that one's by Nastic. A great all white build. I love the white lighting on the front and rear fans. I also, for some reason, am really drawn to the CPU cooler. I like that big chunky CPU cooler.
Yeah, I like that case too. I think that's the 4000D from Corsair. Great case.
Look at this guy.
Had lots of great reviews in.
It's like, oh yeah, that's the 4000. That might be the 4000E. That might be the 4000E.5. And then over on the right, we have a very colorful build with a lot of cool liquid cooling by Jonathan R. I love a liquid cooled GPU. I think they look cool. I think they are, very a very cool use of your space. You still get power, but you're not, having a giant, 4090 in there or anything like that. And just some beautiful RGB.
RGB, huh?
RGB.
Wow, I do like that case. He looks like you put a lot of work into it, man. I'm always concerned that it's gonna spill out, but liquid cooling is definitely really always a head turner. People usually do a double take. They're like, I didn't know a computer could look like that.
I know. I would love to do a custom loop liquid cooled CPU or a PC, but yeah, it terrifies me. It really, really makes me nervous because the thought that even like an AIO has some air in it, not usually enough to be of any concern, but there is some in there, that freaks me out.
Yeah.
I know that I'm not going to do like completely, I can't even keep oil in my car. Like, I'm not going to do that, right? All right, everybody. That is our show for another week. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's podcast with the latest news from the tech and gaming world, as well as the best products from Newegg. Ask us questions or show off your gaming PC on our Twitter or Blue Sky. Just look for Tech Circuit Podcast, or you can email us at podcast@newegg.com. Our theme song is by the fantastic Troy Goss, a.k.a. DJ X Subn, and you can find a link to his music.
His what?
Music. You can find a link to his music in the podcast description. And please remember to check out Newegg.com for the latest and greatest in all your tech and PC needs. I'm Ben Tibbles.
I'm David Lee.
And this has been Tech Circuit. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll see you next time.